order. Before we get started tonight, I have a couple things, two thank yous that I want to say. Number one, thank you to everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. When I decided to do this, I said that if I reached one person, it was worth it. And over the last week, I've reached a lot more than one person. So thank you to everyone who has supported me, my business colleagues that have cheered me on. It's been amazing. And it makes me happy because I really hope that I can help some people. My other thank you is I am the biggest jerk sister in the whole wide world, and I completely forgot to tell you in my first video that the music you're hearing is my two little brothers, the Proctor brothers, and so I'm super excited. This is their original music, and I'm so excited to get to use it to do this because I love them very much and I love their music. So tonight you only get 2 songs because I'm technologically challenged. So I'm going to try to speed up my talking a little bit tonight. In real life, I talk very fast, so I was trying not to do that on the video, but just bear with me. I definitely did not intend to be on candid camera. So I have some good news and some bad news. The good news is I have 2 very important messages for you tonight. And so you're going to get some good information. But the bad news is we're not going to make it to base camp tonight. There was an avalanche up ahead and we're going to have to stay down here for the night. So just like everything in life, there can always be something that throws a hurdle. This week, I had a couple hurdles, and I need to use those to give you some important messages because I think that they need to be talked about, and in therapy, you will always, and not just therapy, life in general, you will always have something that can change a plan. Best laid plans were made to be broken. And one of the things about the Gigi disorder is giving you tools so that you can acclimate to change better and accept when the avalanches up ahead happen. I have always struggled with that. I have a rigid mind when I make a plan. I think that's kind of why I try to be a little bit of a hippie now and kind of go with the flow, because I have always been rigid in if there's a plan, I have to stick to it. And 3 weeks ago, this whole plan got blown up. And not blown up, but it, in my mind at that exact moment, it got blown up. And so there was just a little hurdle, and I had a couple hurdles, work and home, and I started to worry that maybe I wasn't the person to do this. Maybe I wasn't really all-knowing about all of these crazy things and cured, you know, and whatnot. And so, of course, I did go ahead and do the video, and I'm so glad that I did. But I've also, on the personal side, then that was kind of more of an impact than the work side, but with them happening at the same time, it brought on a lot of stress. And it brought on, one of the things that, the first message we're going to talk about tonight is triggers. And so with the triggers, you know, you see trigger warnings on Facebook, and we talk about triggers. Well, the reason that I made my tagline Trigger Life is because that's what I want to do. I want to turn our mentality away from triggers being a bad thing. I want to trigger life. As we learn our skills and as we go through these processes, we're going to be triggering life. We're going to be telling the truth, and others are going to tell us the truth. I have triggered a couple of lives just in the last week. And if you can hear my story and it triggers something in you that hurts, just know you're not alone. That's how we're triggering life. Let's stop making suicide and the horrible, unmentionable truths that have happened to us, or trauma, embarrassing trauma. Why are we a society embarrassed by grief? I need to understand that. And I don't, actually. That's not something I've figured out. Why are we a society that is triggered negatively and embarrassed and shamed to talk about things we had no control over? I mean, because really, most of the things that lead to our later bad decisions, and I'm not justifying, I'm just being factual, most of the things that lead to our later bad decisions happened early on. And so we have to be able to tell the truth and trigger lives instead of triggering this shame and this judgment and this hate. You know, you look at me and you think I'm a horrible person maybe because I attempted suicide, and that's that's supposed to be a sin. It's unmentionable. It's horrible. But if I had been allowed to talk about it 25 years ago, it may have been a different story. And so I need you to understand, we are going to talk about things that are triggers, but we're going to learn how to do them triggering life, not triggering broken, okay? But, and actually we kind of have three messages. So what is trigger broken? I was embarrassed. I was questioning myself. I felt like a hypocrite on Friday night because I still have one trigger broken in my life. And it is definitely a trigger, whatever that, I can honestly say it did not trigger suicide or even ideation or thoughts, but it definitely triggered emotional dysregulation, which is what we're going to try to get rid of. I mean, we want to feel, we want to allow emotions, but we don't want them to make our decisions for us. We don't want them to send the text message for us. We don't want them to hang up the phone on someone for us. We want our emotions to happen and then make our decisions, and we can learn that. But if you don't, if you still have a trigger broken of any sort, you cannot feel guilty about it. It is not, you are not perfect. I am not perfect. None of us will ever be perfect. And as we climb the mountain, we're going to fall back a little bit. You don't climb a mountain without having some downsides. And we're going to go backwards once in a while. But every single time that we reach a level, we will have gained a different understanding of how to climb a mountain. But each time we get a little bit higher, we're going to learn something new because it's going to have a different environment. It's going to be a little bit more rigorous. It's going to be harder. And the whole point is, by the time we get to the top, we've gone through all of those steps and we've gotten that strength. But you will always fall backwards. There will always be avalanches. And the key is learning how to handle them and what to do with them. So, trigger broken. Friday night, I acted like a fool. Triggered all, back to I think I was a teenager, except that then I also yelled at my work people, which is unacceptable. And I did. I felt like a hypocrite. But so Saturday, I went for a drive because I wondered if I was ever going to be okay from this trigger. And I drove through the woods. The woods are my happy place. One really important thing you have to do is find a free. And the reason I say free is because it needs to be available to you at all times. You need to find a free outlet for energy, a free activity that can change your mind and make you think in a positive manner. And for me, and if it's not free, I mean, it doesn't have to be free, but the problem is if it's not free, then if you're ever broke or down on your luck, you're screwed. So my recommendation, free. Mine are the river and the woods. Those are my places that I can go to regroup and figure things out. And so I drove for about 2 hours on Saturday through the woods and just thought about whether or not I could ever get past my trigger broken. And if I really was the person that's allowed to tell this story, if I still have a trigger broken. And I realized, yes, because I'm not perfect. No one is perfect. But my trigger broken triggered a serious GG public service announcement that we have to talk about. And it's critical. And for me, it's unacceptable. And it makes me blind. So I want the GG disorder, to change all mental illness, all disorders for everyone. Everything that I'm telling you can help all forms of depression, suicide, grief, addiction. The tools are there. They are intricate to all of it. My personal struggle is suicide, and that is what is most important to my heart, because suicide is the thing that we don't talk about. It is the thing that we are uncomfortable looking at someone and addressing. We don't ever talk about it after it happens. We don't, we're not allowed to talk about it in the hospitals. When you go to inpatient or outpatient treatment, you are not allowed. I could not sit and look at the person next to me and say, I'm really pissed off that I'm still alive. That's not allowed. And so my messages are going to be very specific to suicide, because I need that to change. There is understanding and there is treatment for almost everything. There is no understanding and sadly, no forgiveness. And that's hard. And it causes us to shame and guilt ourselves. So shaming and guilting myself the other day, I'm driving through the woods and I realized that the key is just to share this with you and do it outwardly, because I don't want to share all of my truths, because I think the recovery and the journey is more important. I don't believe that the traumas that I've had are necessary for the whole process. I believe that we are affected on day one. Whatever the first trauma that hits, that if it doesn't get dealt with, it doesn't matter how many are after that. If the first trauma is not addressed ever, you've already broken the foundation. And so I need everyone out there to understand that whether you've had one trauma or a million traumas, our insides are still feeling the same. We are still feeling broken. And my trigger broken is children. This is Gigi PSA number 232, because if I put them in order, I'll never remember them anyway. We do not break babies. We have to stop breaking the babies. I want to help all people. I want to help all hurting people. But the only way that we are going to change this world is if we start protecting the kids and changing their mindsets and keeping them safe before we protect the broken adults. Help me understand why a child has to protect a broken adult. The moment that you require a child to lie or cover up or protect or break the law for a broken adult, you are putting a crack in that child's foundation. They are never going to understand or be able, they will never trust their own actions and thoughts. They will never know what is right and wrong and who to tell on and who not to tell on. Children absorb every single thing around them. My granddaughter is 1 year old and she mimics everything I do. She was a baby popping. The first time she popped up on my lap, when she could stand, I started doing shake your booty with her. Shake, 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 shake your booty. We sing, we dance. She dances. If you turn on Shake Your Booty, she knew the song when she was 6 months old. She would dance. I mean, she started dancing before she could walk. She absorbs everything we do. And so no matter how old a child is, if you require them to lie or break the law or cover up or hide something, they will never know if the next adult who's a bad guy, are they supposed to tell on that person? Are they supposed to tell the truth about that situation? How, as a child, do we differentiate when to tell the truth and not to tell the truth about the things that are happening to us? Well, we don't. We're a society that doesn't tell the truth. And that's why we're crumbling. That's why we're broken. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice tonight. You're getting me after a very, very long day. A tiny PSA, you always go to therapy unless you're contagious. So even as long as you can walk in the door, you get there. So that's what we're doing tonight. But we cannot keep breaking babies to save broken adults, because all we're doing is creating a cyclical motion of more broken babies and more broken adults. And it keeps going and it keeps going. And the only way that you're truly going to stop the suicide crisis is if you quit creating broken babies. Because if you break the baby and the foundation is cracked, I fear you're looking at drugs or suicide. And I'm not going to share a lot of my broken things, but because I believe our mission is the recovery, not the actual traumas. I may have already said that. However, I do want to tell you a life experience that I was required to keep hidden for my entire life. And because of that, and then all of the things that happened prior to it happening, I have never had a foundation. I'm not even sure that the foundation specialist people could fix me. Honestly, I'm pretty sure I rebuilt the foundation. Everyone knows, I told you the Proctor brothers. I am Michelle Proctor. I have always been Michelle Proctor. Everyone thought it was weird when I was married because I wasn't. And I don't even own that name, honestly, because I told you in the last video, my biological father was killed in 2014. When I was 15 years old, my mother told me that my dad, which is the Proctor family, Steve Proctor, sorry, Dad, wasn't my real dad. And wow, I lost my identity. I lost trust. I lost so much. We didn't get along very well sometimes, but I didn't want to lose him. I didn't want to not have my dad. He was my dad, and I love him. And I still love him. And the Proctor family as a whole took me in and gave me their fabulous name. Thank you. And I own it. I'm Proctor. That's all there is to it. So, but when I was 17, my real father, my mother told me who my real father was. She wouldn't tell me when I was 15 when she told me that it wasn't my dad. And she told me that it was her first cousin and that if I ever told anyone, I would kill my grandparents. So from the day I was, 17 until I was 37, so I math for a living, but not on camera, 20 years, I didn't tell anybody in my family. And I felt like an abomination. And I actually thought it was the root of the suicide. And I don't believe that it is. I do think it went back even further, which is my concern for the babies. I think it started way back there. But I did tell two people very close to me in 2011, and it happened to then be, I did it at a time that then triggered attempting suicide. And I wanted to tell the truth. And I had to tell the truth because I didn't think I was ever going to be okay. And truth is something that I am going to preach throughout this everything. Lies are what have created my misery. I was required to lie about so many things. I can't believe I know what reality is. Somehow I got lucky. Stop breaking the babies. We have to break this chain. There is so much promise, and we can get rid of disorders. We can change the world. We can help kids and we can help adults. But safety first. And don't ever, make anyone lie. Don't make a child lie. We will all lie at some point in our lives. Definitely guilty as charged. But teach the babies to tell the truth so that they can tell the truth when someone's hurting them. Because the minute you teach them to tell a lie, you break their foundation. It's time to stop creating broken adults. Thank you.